What happens when one of Hollywood's most mysterious actors sits down with one of TV's top hosts and refuses to follow the usual rules? The tension in the room is about to reach a boiling point, and what follows is a masterclass in handling things with grace, wit, and strength. Before we get into this wild conversation, make sure you subscribe and leave a comment below to let us know which side you're on in this debate, because trust me, you're going to have an opinion by the end of this. Johnny Depp walks into the studio to a mixed reaction from the audience. Some are cheering, others are silent, and the atmosphere is already tense before he even sits down. Joy Behar is sitting at the table with that look she gets when she's ready to dig in. It's the look that says she's already decided where this conversation is going. Depp settles into his chair, gives a friendly nod to the panel, and you can see it in his eyes. He knows exactly what kind of show this is going to be. Joy wastes no time. She leans forward, locks eyes with him, and says, "So, Johnny, let's just put the elephant in the room. Been through a lot publicly, and a lot of people have strong opinions about you. Do you think you deserve the comeback Hollywood seems to be giving you right now?" The question hangs in the air like a loaded gun. The audience goes quiet. The other hosts glance at each other. Depp doesn't flinch. He takes a deep breath, tilts his head slightly, and responds in that calm, measured voice he's known for. "Joy, I appreciate the question, but I think the premise is flawed. I'm not looking for redemption, and I'm definitely not asking Hollywood or anyone else for permission to exist. I'm here because I'm an actor. I love my craft, and I've never stopped working. Even when people wanted me to disappear, Joy isn't annoyed with that." She presses harder. "But don't you think you owe the public some accountability? I mean, we've all seen the headlines. We've all heard the testimonies. How do you expect people to just move on and pretend none of that happened?" Her tone is sharp, almost accusatory, and you can feel the shift in the room. The other hosts are watching anxiously now, almost wondering if they should jump in or let this conversation continue. Depp leans back in his chair, crosses one leg over the other, and for a moment, he just looks at her. It's not a glare, it's not defensive. It's more like he's listening to her, trying to figure out how much he wants to give this. Then he speaks, and his voice is steady but firm. "Accountability to whom? Joy, to you? To the people who read headlines, but never bothered to look at the evidence. I went through a complete public battle. Everything was laid out in court. Everything. The truth came out, and I was vindicated. So if you're asking me to apologize for being a victim of lies and manipulation, then I'm sorry you're going to be disappointed." The audience reacts. Some people applaud, others murmur. Joy raises her hand like she's trying to calm them down, but you can see she's rattled. She didn't expect him to come back that hard. She regroups quickly, though, because this is what she does. She pivots. Okay, but let's talk about the case itself. There were moments in that trial, Johnny, where things were said, things were revealed that didn't exactly paint you as a saint either. You've had to deal with drinking, with substance use, with sending some suggestive texts. How do you reconcile that with the image you're trying to rebuild? Depp doesn't let her finish this time. Cuts in before she can even get her thought out. "I'm not trying to clean an image. Joy, I'm a human being, not a brand. Yes, I've struggled with addiction. Yes, I've said things in private that I'm not proud of. But tell me one real person who hasn't had a dark moment, who hasn't said something they regret when they're in pain. The difference is my dark moments were exposed to the public and weaponized against me. And even with all of that, the jury still saw the truth. They saw who the real aggressor was." Joy leans back now, folding her arms. She's not backing down, but she's also realizing this isn't going to be the interview she hoped for. Tactics again. "All right, so you feel vindicated by the jury, but what about the public opinion? Because let's be honest, Johnny, a lot of people still don't accept you. A lot of people think you got away with something because you're a rich, famous man. What do you say to them?" Depp smiles, but it's not a happy smile. It's the kind of smile that says he's heard this 1,000 times and he's sick of it. "I see. I believe what you want. I can't control what people think. Why? And I've learned the hard way that trying to please anybody is a losing game. The people who know me, the people who worked with me, the people who were actually there, they know the truth. And honestly, that's enough for me." If someone wants to believe a story that was created by tabloids and media, that's their choice. But I'm not going to sacrifice my life trying to please people who've already made up their minds. Joy cuts in, again, her tone rising slightly. But don't you think as someone with a platform you have a burden too? I don't know. Set an example to show that you're learning, growing, becoming a better person? Depp's response shifts. He's being challenged. Now you can see it in the way his jaw tightens, but he keeps his calm. Joy, with all due respect, I don't owe anyone an achievement of growth. I've been through hell. I've lost years of my life, my reputation, my career, because of lies. And now you're sitting here tempting me to prove that I'm a good person. I don't need to prove anything to you or anyone else. I know who I am. People I love know who I am, and that's what matters. The tension is thick now. The other hosts are uncomfortably fidgeting, and the audience doesn't know whether to clap or stay silent. Joy, to her credit, doesn't back down. She leans forward again, and her tone becomes more serious. Okay, Johnny, I understand you, but let's talk about something specific. During the trial, there were recordings, texts, and evidence of a very toxic relationship. Both of you were accused of bad behavior. So why is it that you get to walk away as the hero and your ex-wife gets vilified? Doesn't that bother you? Doesn't that seem unfair? Depp takes a long pause. This is the moment where he could lose his cool, where he could snap, but he doesn't. Instead, he speaks slowly and deliberately. I never asked to be anyone's hero, Joy, and I never asked for anyone to be vilified. What happened between me and my ex-wife was a private matter that became public, but here's the thing. I didn't make it public. I didn't go on talk shows. I didn't write op-eds. I didn't try to ruin her career.
Nice.
I dedicated myself in court, and the board made their decision based on the evidence. If people are upset about that, then maybe they should ask themselves why they believed a story that wasn't true from the beginning. Joy opens her mouth to respond, but Depp isn't finished. He continues, and there's a fire in his voice. Now that wasn't there before. You want to talk about fairness? Let's talk about fairness. I lost jobs. I lost roles. I was blacklisted before any scandal even happened. I was accused in the eyes of the public the moment the allegations were made. Where was the fairness in that? Where was the presumption of innocence? I had to fight for years just to get my day in court. And even then, people like you are still questioning whether I deserve to stay in this industry. So, forgive me if I'm not thrilled that the truth came out. The room is silent. Joy is staring at him, trying hard to figure out her next move. The other hosts look like they want to jump in but don't know how, and Depp just sits there, calm and composed, waiting. Joy finally breaks the silence, but her tone has changed. There's less aggression now, more calculation. She's regrouping. Okay, Johnny, I understand you're frustrated. I get it. But let me ask you this. Do you think the Me Too movement got it wrong with you? Because that's about what you're saying, right? That you were falsely accused? That you were the true victim? Don't you worry that your case will be used by real abusers to discredit real victims? Depp's eyes narrow slightly. He knows this is a tough question, the kind meant to make him look bad no matter how he answers it. But he doesn't avoid it. He meets it head-on. Joy, the Me Too movement is important. It's necessary. It's a voice for people who were silenced for too long, and I support that completely. But here's what I don't support. The idea that we should ignore facts and truth just because we're ashamed of what it might mean for a movement. False accusations happen. They're rare, but they happen. And when they do, they hurt everyone. They hurt real victims because they give power to people who want to discredit them, and they ruin innocent people's lives. So no, I don't think the movement got it wrong with me. I think individuals made choices, and those choices had consequences. Joy jumps in quickly, not wanting to lose momentum. But don't you see how your case has been weaponized? I mean, right now, all over the internet, people are using what happened to you as proof that women lie. That accusations can't be trusted. How do you feel about that? Depp shakes his head, and there's something sad in his voice now. How do I feel about it? I feel like it's tragic. But it's not my fault, Joy. I didn't create that narrative. I didn't ask for any of this. I was just trying to clear my name and get my career back. If other people are using what happened for their own agenda, that's on them, not me. I can't control how people interpret the truth. One of the other hosts, who's been quiet until now, finally speaks up. She tries to ease the tension a bit. Johnny, I think what Joy is trying to get at is, what do you want people to take away from your story? What's the message here? Depp turns to her, and his voice softens just a little. He seems to accept the serious question. I want people to know that anyone deserves to be heard. Anyone deserves to have their side told. And most importantly, anyone deserves the presumption of innocence until proven otherwise. That's not a debatable idea, or at least it shouldn't be. But on the other hand, we decide that certain accusations are automatically true, and certain. People are automatically guilty, and that's dangerous. That's how innocent lives get destroyed. Joy isn't done. She comes back in, her tone sharp again. But Johnny, you had resources. You had lawyers. You had money. You had a platform. Most people who are falsely accused don't have those things. So, isn't your adventure affectionate of an outlier? Doesn't it prove that the arrangement works for affluent bodies and not for anybody else? Depp nods slowly, acknowledging the point. You're right. I had assets that best bodies don't have. And yes, that absolutely fabricated a difference. But do you apperceive what that tells me? It tells me that if addition, with all the assets I had, still about absent everything. Afresh what adventitious does. And boilerplate actuality except, if I with the best attorney's money can buy. Still spent years actuality object through the mud. Still absent jobs, still had my name destroyed. What happens to addition who doesn't accept those advantages? That's the absolute problem, Joy. The arrangement is burst for everyone. Joy pauses. You can see she didn't apprehend that answer. She anticipation she had him cornered, but he addled it. She regroups again, aggravating a altered angle. All right. So let's allocution about your career effective forward. You've got projects advancing up, your actuality accustomed back. But do you any time anguish that you'll consistently be authentic by this? That every interview, every role, every appearance? Bodies are activity to accompany this up. Depp smiles. And this time it's added genuine. Of course I anguish about that. I'm human, but I additionally apperceive that acceptable assignment speaks for itself. If I focus on accomplishing what I love, if I accumulate cogent stories, eventually that will be what bodies remember. Or maybe it won't. Maybe I will consistently be authentic by this. But if that's the case, afresh at Atomic, it'll be authentic by the truth, not by lies. Joy leans in, her accent animate to article about conversational like she's aggravating. To get him to lower his guard. You've been in this industry for decades, Johnny. You've apparent it all. You anticipate Hollywood has afflicted for the bigger, or do you anticipate it's gotten worse? Depp considers this for a moment. Afresh answers carefully. I anticipate Hollywood has consistently been complicated. It's an industry congenital on angel and perception, and that can be both admirable and ugly. What's afflicted is the acceleration at which things appear now. Using media, the internet, the 24-hour account cycle, it all moves so fast that bodies don't accept time to think, to breathe, to absolutely attending at the facts. Anybody aloof reacts. And in that environment, it's absolutely accessible to abort someone. It's abundant harder to rebuild. Joy nods, but afresh she goes for the jugular again. So do you anticipate you've been destroyed, or do you anticipate you've been rebuilt? Because from area I'm sitting, it looks like you're accomplishing aloof fine. You're back in the spotlight. You're accepting roles. You're on allocution shows. So what absolutely did you lose? The catechism hangs there and you can feel the about face in the room, like the added hosts attending afflictive now. Old Depp's face hardens. He's not angry, but he's not animated either. What did I lose? I absent years of my life. Joy. I absent time with my accouchement that I can never get back. I absent friendships. I absent trust. I absent my faculty of safety. I absent the adeptness to erring bottomward the artery after bodies accepting an assessment about me afore they alike apperceive me. So yeah, I'm animate afresh, and I'm beholden for that. But don't sit there and acquaint me. I didn't lose anything. You accept no abstraction what it's like to accept your absolute activity put on balloon for the apple to see. Joy starts to respond, but Depp cuts her off, his articulation assent aloof slightly. And you apperceive what the affliction allotment is? It's not the bodies who accept the lies. It's the bodies who knew the accuracy and backward silent. It's the bodies in this industry who formed with me for years, who knew absolutely who I was and they said nothing. They watched me get destroyed and they adequate themselves. That's what I lost. Joy. I absent my acceptance in a lot of people. The flat is asleep quiet now. Joy looks like she's aggravating to a judge whether to advance at it or cull back. Chooses to push. So, your adage, you feel betrayed by Hollywood? Do you anticipate you'll any time be able to assurance this industry again? Depp takes a animation and aback. He speaks, his articulation is quieter, added measured. I don't know. Assurance is a adamantine affair to rebuild, but I'm not naive. I apperceive how this business works. Bodies assure themselves. They assure their careers. I don't accountability them for that, alike, if it hurt. What I do, accountability, is the hypocrisy. The aforementioned bodies who deliver about assertive victims and continuing up for what's right. They were the aboriginal ones. To bandy me beneath the bus after alike allurement questions? So yeah, I'm alert now. I'm accurate about who I let in. And maybe that's a acceptable thing. Joy leans back, Bridger accoutrements again. She's quiet for a moment. Afresh asks, do you anticipate you'll any time allocution to your ex-wife again? Will there any time be any affectionate of cease or reconciliation? Depp's announcement doesn't change. No, there's annihilation to reconcile. What happened, happened. We both accept to animate with it. I've confused on and I accept she has too. There's no acumen for us to any time allege again, Joy presses. But don't you anticipate there's amount in forgiveness? In absolution, go of the anger, Depp looks at her directly, and his articulation is calm but firm. I'm not angry, Joy. I'm aloof. Done. There's a difference. Acrimony would beggarly. I still affliction, and I don't. I've let it go, because captivation unto it would alone aching me. That forgiveness, that's not article I owe anyone. That's article. Bodies accept to earn, and some bodies never will. Added hosts are watching this barter like it's a tennis match. Their active axis of back and forth. One of them assuredly speaks up. Aggravating to lighten the mood, Johnny lets allocution about article added positive. You've got new projects advancing out. What are you aflame about? What's a budding for you? Depp seems to exceed the change in direction, relaxes slightly. His amateur bottomward aloof a bit. I'm aflame about a lot of things. I've got some films in the works that I'm absolutely amorous about. I'm animate with admiral and actors I admire. Honestly, I'm aloof aflame to be accomplishing what I adulation afresh after all the noise. That's all I've any time wanted. Aloof to achieve art and acquaint stories. Joy isn't accessible to let him off the angle completely, though. She'll overs a back in. But Johnny, you accept the babble as allotment of the job now. Can't abstracted the art from the artisan anymore. Body's appetite to apperceive who you are as a person, not aloof as an actor. How do you accord with that? Depth and measurement, and there's a weariness in his articulation now. I accord with it by not account the comments, by not agreeable with the noise. I focus on my work. I focus on the bodies I love. I try to break grounded. It's not consistently easy, but it's all-important because if I let the babble in, if I let it absorb me afresh, I lose myself. And I've already absent enough. Joy accoutrement in her seat, and you can acquaint she's gearing up for article. She's been testing him, acid for anemic spots, and now she's accessible to go for the kill. Johnny, I appetite to ask you article that I anticipate a lot of bodies are wondering. Do you anticipate you're a acceptable person? It's a loaded question. The affectionate that's advised to achieve him blunder no amount how he answers. If he says yes, he looks arrogant. If he says no, he's acceptance fault. But Depp does an abatement for it. He sits there for a moment, absolutely cerebration about it, and afresh he answers with complete honesty. I anticipate I'm a wry actuality who's approved as best. I've fabricated mistakes. I've aching people. I've done things I regret, but I've additionally admired deeply. I've been loyal. I've approved to be there for the bodies who amount to me. So am I good? I don't know. I anticipate best bodies are aloof, aggravating to amount it out as they go. I'm no different. Joy isn't annoyed with that. She wants article she can use. But don't you think, accustomed to aggregate that's happened, you should be able to say definitively whether you're a acceptable actuality or not? Shouldn't you accept done that assignment by now? Depp lets out a baby laugh, but there's no amusement in it. Joy, I've spent years in therapy. I've advised every allotment of my life, every best I've made, every accord I've had. I've done the work. But what you're allurement me to do is achieve some affectionate of accessible acknowledgement or accretion arc for your audience. Right? And I'm not activity to do that. My growth, my healing, that's private. It's mine. I don't know anyone a show. The admirers reacts to this. Some bodies clapping, others silent. Joy raises her eyebrows, acutely not assured him to be so direct. Okay, so you're not activity to accord us the accretion story. Fine, but let me ask you this. You anticipate the industry owes you anything? Do you anticipate you're owed an acknowledgement from the bodies who alone you? Depp alvers his arch immediately. No, I don't anticipate anyone owes me anything. Bodhi's fabricated choices based on the advice they had at the time or based on what they anticipation was best. For their careers, what I do anticipate is that the industry should booty a continued adamantine attending at how bound it turns on bodies after Catan Mouse for facts. But an apology? Oh, I'm not Catan Mouse about for that. Joy leans forward, her articulation demography on an added advancing edge. But doesn't that achieve you angry? Doesn't it achieve you bitter? You absent so abundant because bodies believe lies about you? How are you not furious? Depth meets her boring and his articulation is steady. Of course, I was angry. I was bent. For a continued time, but acrimony like that, it eats you alive. It destroys you from the central out. So, I had to achieve a choice. I could break affronted and let it absorb me. Or I could let it go and move forward. I chose to move forward. Debt doesn't beggarly I've abandoned, and it doesn't beggarly I've forgiven everyone. Yes. It aloof agency I'm not activity to let it ascertain the blow of my life. Joy presses harder, so you've confused forward. But what about accountability? What about demography albatross for your allotment in all of this? You accumulate talking about actuality a victim, but you've accepted yourself that you weren't. Perfect. So, where's your accountability? Depp's jaw tightens. Oh, wait. And for the aboriginal time, you can see absolute annoyance breaking through. My accountability, Joy. I've been captivated, answerable in every accessible way. I went to court, I testified, at every detail of my clandestine activity apparent to the world. I absent my career, my reputation, my accord of mind. What added? Do you want? Do you appetite me to get on my knees and beg for forgiveness? Because that's not activity to happen. I was in a baneful relationship. I fabricated mistakes, but I was additionally abused and aria about. And I'm not activity to pretend contrarily aloof to achieve you or anyone abroad comfortable. The activity in the allowance has confused absolutely now. Joy's face shows she's rattled, but she doesn't back down. Johnny, I'm aloof. Aggravating to accept an honest chat here. Depp cuts her off, his articulation sharp. No, you're not. You're aggravating to get me to say article. You can use a join me. You're aggravating. To allurement me into acceptance article. That fits your narrative, and I'm not activity to do it. I came actuality and acceptable faith. Cerebration we could accept a capsulute conversation. But this is a loof edition hit job bearded as an interview. Joy's face flushes, and she raises her voice. That's not fair, Johnny. I'm allurement you boxy questions because that's my job. You can't handle boxy questions? Afresh maybe you shouldn't be accomplishing interviews. Depp doesn't accession his voice, but his accent is ice cold. I can handle boxy questions. Doy, What I can't handle is addition, assuming to affliction about accuracy and accountability, while blank all the affirmation that contradicts their agreed narrative. You've already observed who I am. In annihilation, I say, actuality is activity. To change that, so why are we alike accomplishing this? The flat goes silent. Depp continues, before anyone can interrupt. Joy, you asked me if I anticipate I'm a acceptable person. Let me ask you something. Do you anticipate you're a acceptable person? Do you anticipate sitting actuality aggravating to breach me bottomward on civic television allurement? Me to prove my account to you and your audience? Do you anticipate that makes you good? Or does it aloof achieve you feel powerful? Joys. Aperture opens, but no words appear out. The admirers is asleep silent. Depp's articulation is quiet but intense. I've sat actuality and answered your questions. I've been honest, I've been vulnerable. And all you've done is try to acquisition means to achieve me attending bad. So before you sit there and adjudicator me, before you appeal accountability from me, maybe you should ask yourself what you're absolutely aggravating to achieve here. Are you aggravating to accept an absolute chat, or are you aloof aggravating to account points? Joy finds her articulation arresting now. I'm aggravating to ask. The questions that Bodhi's appetite answered. Depp cuts her off. Answerable to whom? To you. Two bodies who've already fabricated up their minds. I was captivated, answerable in a cloister of law. Joy. A board heard all the affirmation and they fabricated their decision. But that's not abundant. For you appetite me to gravel? You appetite me to accept two things I didn't do? You appetite me to fit into the box you've created for me and I won't do it. Joy tries to achieve control. Johnny, I anticipate your actuality unfair. I've accustomed you a belvedere to acquaint your side. Depp absolutely laughs. Abbreviate absinthian sound. A platform. I didn't charge you to accord me a platform. I came actuality because I anticipation we could accept a elusive conversation. But this isn't a conversation. It's an interrogation, and you're not absorbed in the truth. You're absorbed in the adaptation of contest that fits what you already believe. Joy takes a breath. Johnny, I apprehend what you're saying, but Depp all overs his head. No, you don't. If you heard me, you wouldn't accumulate allurement the aforementioned questions in altered ways. If you heard me, you'd accede that maybe things aren't as atreminous and white as you appetite them to be. But you can't do that because it would beggarly acceptance you adeptness, except been wrong. Joy's articulation rises. I'm aggravating to accord articulation to bodies who anticipate you got abroad with something. Depp's articulation stays calm, and those bodies accept every appropriate to their opinions. But I additionally accept the appropriate to avert myself. And to debris, to be afraid, and to adage things I don't believe. You can represent whoever you want, Joy. But you don't get to put words in my aperture or appeal that I achieve attrition for things I didn't do. Joy takes one added shot. What do you appetite Bodhi's to know, Johnny? If you could say one. Affair to anybody watching? What would it be? Depp looks on into the camera. I'd say don't accept aggregate you read. Don't achieve up your apperception about addition based on headlines. View affliction about the truth, absolutely attending at the evidence. Absolutely accept to what bodies are saying, not aloof what you appetite to hear, and bethink that. Anybody deserves the anticipation of chastity and the appropriate to avert themselves. Joy nods, acutely black with how this went. Well, Johnny Depp, acknowledge you for actuality here. Depp stands up, and as he allovers easily with the hosts, he looks at Joy one at a time. Acknowledge you for accepting me. Joy, I achievement. A budding time we can absolutely accept a chat instead of a cross-examination. He walks off the set, and the admirers erupts. If you fabricated it this far, you aloof witnessed one of the best acute interviews in contempo television history. Achieve abiding you, hit that subscribe button, and beat a animadversion below. What did you anticipate of how Johnny handled himself? Did he shut Joy bottomward, or did she accept accurate points? Let us apperceive your thoughts.